looks like it's 7 o'clock. Do you know if John's coming in, or?
Yeah, I think he said he was. No, Wayne, not Wayne, actually,
Steve said
he's not.
he's still in Middleton.
Yeah. Still in the quorum, so.
Still in court.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything from John either, one way or another, so.
Yeah.
So we'll probably get started. We can always move him in when
Yep.
he shows up.
Exactly.
All right, it's 7:01. If that clock's right.
Yeah, it is 7:02.
7:02. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? I'll accept a motion on the minutes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Regular business. First item I've got on the agenda is to reconsideration of decision. The Zoning Board of Adjustments, on its own accord, shall reconsider its decision made on May 16th, 2022, on an appeal from administrative decision application from the petitioner CC 86 Maine LLC, who sought relief from the ZBA to overturn a decision made by the building inspector concerning the imposition of impact fees assessed for 6 new apartments on real property with an address of 86 Main Street, tax map U2, lot 52, within the M2 zoning district. This is just open to us for discussion. Bart made the recommendation because in reading through the thing, it wasn't clear that we'd actually made a decision on the building inspector's decision, which was the key clause in that request for the appeal. So just to clean things up, he thought we should reconsider it, and I'll accept a motion to reconsider at this point in time.
Move to reconsider.
Okay. All those we should probably vote on this one at a time.
You do a roll call.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Okay, so now we've got we'll reconsider that. I'm of the opinion that we should affirm the building inspector's decision and send Mr. Stebbins to the planning board to review the impact fees. Because if I remember correctly, when he came to us for the original variance, he had a lot of information about the costs and the savings and comparing this, that, and the other, which I think makes a really compelling case for the planning board to waive the impact fees. But it should have been done at that time. The building inspector had very little he could do. He was supposed to do it when the building permit was made. He missed it. Fine, we all do that. He assessed it when he could. If he would have said nothing, he'd have been in a bad position with the planning board, because when he knew about it, he should have done something about it. So he did what he could do, and I can understand why Mr. Stebbins wants relief from that. Unfortunately, I think the people at this juncture is the planning board to give him relief. And like I said, when he came here, I thought he made an excellent case for the costs that they incurred and the savings the town would see. I thought it was rather good. And, you know, if they deny him that, then I'll be more than happy to sit here and rule on that. I've got absolutely no prejudice in the case.
My problem is affirming the decision in order to send him to planning board. Because I can't say with everything that you just said, I can't say just because he missed it. Yeah, he missed it, right? So was he wrong?
Yes.
Yes. So I can't say that his decision was right when we know that he was wrong.
Well, I thought he had very little choice in the matter, so.
But given that it wasn't at the time of the permit, that's where so late in the game causes the issue that he experienced.
No. So when he found out about it, what was he supposed to do? Keep his mouth shut?
But it didn't provide enough time for the applicant to make a case.
Well, I don't know when he found out, but
Yeah, neither do I, so.
He found a certificate of occupancy.
what's that?
Certificate of occupancy prior to. The impact
the end of
fees.
March.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when the letter was issued.
So I think there was adequate time to go back to the planning board at that point in time before coming to us, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, I'm of the opinion of, I think there's enough, I know I said this sarcastically last meeting, but, not sarcastically, but jokingly. I don't know, I see fault on both sides.
Correct.
I made this, why don't you split the difference and go from there, but I see a problem on both sides. I mean, he should have known and they should have known. If it was everybody, well, they all should have known, so. I don't know.
Well, I've always subscribed to the idea that when you find out you've made a mistake, you do something about it, and you use takes your lumps. I'm sure he's not gonna forget about it again.
No.
And we're not without recourse. The planning board can go through the numbers again and say you're absolutely right, and we'll rescind that. And if they don't, they can always come back here with the same information, and we'll listen to them. And from what I remember, I'd be inclined to.
Yeah, based on the discussion during the public hearing, there's two options. One, once the ZBA makes a decision and it wants to be appealed, it can go to Superior Court. And also there's the option of the applicant going to the planning board and asking for a waiver. So the applicant or the petitioner has chosen to go this route to the ZBA.
So it's not our responsibility or authority to rescind the.
Right, but this is a decision, so it's an appeal of administrative decision. So
Well, right now, the reason we are reconsidering is because the course of action we have in the motion that was made in the and accepted, it wasn't clear what action
correct.
we were doing. I made a motion that was to affirm, and then the motion that was finally passed.
There was Al's motion.
Made a motion to the zoning board of adjustment and the
my motion.
inappropriate board to hear this case. The zoning board of adjustment recommends that the planning board of Newmarket is the appropriate board to approve or deny the case. The board therefore does not have any opinion at this time, and should there be a need in the future to come back to the zoning board, the case will be heard without prejudice.
Right.
And the thing is, we didn't act on the main clause of the petition from the Stebbins, the fact that we didn't make a decision on whether the building inspector erred in assessing it, and in order to really move forward, we need to either say that he erred or affirm his decision. If we say that he erred, we probably have to return the impact fees. If we say that he was okay, then Mr. Stebbins still has the opportunity to go to the planning board and seek relief.
Wasn't there?
Say that last sentence again?
If he goes to the planning board and they deny him his request for reduction in
Then he
fees, then he can come back here and we will listen to the information presented. And knowing the property, I can't imagine, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. We would listen to it and we would rule on that, waiving the impact fees.
Wasn't there
At
some?
that point,
At
we
that
have,
point.
we
We have,
authority
I,
at that point.
I think we'd have clearer jurisdiction.
Obviously, I walked away with a different conclusion. I thought their next step was to go to the planning board. I thought we agreed that was the, with them, that was the appropriate
Well,
next step.
it probably is if we affirm the building inspector's decision.
Gotcha.
If we deny the building inspector's decision, I mean, there's one or two things.
Yep.
We kinda straddled the fence, and we really didn't make a decision.
Okay.
We kicked the can down the road.
That wasn't my impression, but I understand what you're saying.
Wasn't there some evidence that was presented about why it was, like, he made a case saying because of the usage, and
Yeah, reduction
correct me
of
if I'm wrong.
use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. So,
Oh, yeah.
so that, and correct me if I'm wrong, wouldn't it be not applicable, that fee, wouldn't that be not applicable if it is less use than what is, or what what it could
From
be used
a-
for now?
Correct, from stormwater, water and sewer perspective, yes.
Yeah.
So if there's a reduction, then there wouldn't be no impact because,
Correct. Okay.
but the bill inspector saw there was an impact. So this is why we're here.
And then there was a part of the presentation saying, well, right now I could have a party every night there and all that, whereas in the future, having apartments there would be less than that.
Correct.
Kind of thing. So that was part of the evidence that was
Correct.
shown.
Well, technically, I don't have to, but I'd rather hear what you've got to say.
Sympathy for my cane.
Yeah, for your cane. If the board doesn't have any objections.
No
Well,
objection.
I just wanna make clear what I know you said it, but what are we voting on?
We haven't made a motion yet.
I know, but what are we trying to decide, I should say?
What I would like to see happen, and it doesn't have to, I mean, I'm just one member on the board, I'd like to see us affirm the building inspector's decision, error, fine, and send it over to the planning board.
When he issued the building permit, that error,
Correct.
just to be sure, we're not voting on.
He issued it at the wrong time, but he still issued it. The impact fees were paid, but it's technically the planning board's decision, area of expertise to waive impact fees and things like that. So give it back to them. If they make a decision that we're not gonna waive them, then they can come back here as an aggrieved party. That's what we do.
So
Okay.
Come on,
I was gonna say it's a procedural mishap that happened.
Okay.
Oh, it's a little bit more.
Well,
Because what happened was, both the ordinance and the law say that has to be assessed before the building permit.
it says shall,
Shall,
yes,
and that means it has to be.
yeah.
It wasn't. The reason for that is the time that the appeal is appropriate to go to the planning board is before you've got a building permit.
Right.
So you have an option. This assessment was not made until days after Mr. Stebbins had said, I need my certificate of occupancy, I passed the test, I've done
This is
everything
6
you
months
wanted
later.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got people moving in the next day.
Yeah.
So basically, he's hung out and told, you either give us the $25,000 or we're gonna make you lose all these tenants and all this money you put into it. Now that's just wrong, and that's the reason that the law says what it says, is that it shall be assessed prior to the issue of the building permit. The building inspector screwed up.
Correct.
I have to say that I'm not going after him as a person. The problem is the harm that he caused was significant, and it was illegal. It was
But
wrong.
it's not irreversible,
Well,
is what we're saying.
but we were put in the position where we had to pay something
Correct.
that we didn't have didn't have planned
If,
on.
here, let's play this game for a second.
Okay.
If the building inspector at the time of you applied for the building permit had said you got $25,000 in impact fees, what would
Yeah.
you have done?
Well, you'd have a choice. You'd have a
Correct.
choice of either not going forward with the project,
Correct.
changing the project, or budgeting a way to do it, which would be something that you'd be able to do.
And you would have had the opportunity to go to the planning board.
And you would have the opportunity to go to the planning board to waive it if those choices weren't good.
So
Right.
we haven't taken anything away from you other than the timing of the $25,000. What we're saying is that you could have gone to the planning board, you didn't. You should have known that there were potential impact fees there. You didn't ask. That's fine. That's all well and good. The building inspector didn't think to impose them until much later when it was, I'm sure somebody pointed it out to him, and he did. Not a good position to be in. But what we're saying is that there are still remedies available.
So what I hear you saying, I understand what you're saying is go back and do it now. But the problem with that is that the time to do it, accordance to the statute and the ordinance, is at the time before you do the building permit.
Correct.
So that the planning board doesn't have to do this. They don't have to go through the whole process of assessing because it's out of order. The second thing is, we did have a reason to believe, we had a number of reasons to believe that there was going to be no assessment. We talked about all the money that we had spent at the city's request on city projects, but we also said that a similar project at 72 Main Street, which added 2 units, and would have been subject to the impact fee ordinance, was never assessed an impact fee. So our assumption was that you weren't assessing impact fees to people like that. And that 72 Main Street pring was the thing we really figured we're not going to get one.
I sympathize with you all the way. And what I'm saying is that the building inspector made a mistake. There's a remedy available.
Well, isn't that the answer to the vote right there? The building inspector made a mistake.
Correct? You've never made a mistake?
No, but I guess we're coming to you to say, did he make a mistake, yes or no? And you are all saying he made a mistake.
Well, and I would just add, and I said it last time, you guys made a mistake too. You discussed impact fees, you just said a minute ago, and felt as though because you put in whatever you put in,
Right.
that they wouldn't be appraised. If I were you, I would raise my hand and say, you know, given the fact that we put this money in here, are we gonna be required to pay impact fees? I mean, again, I'm in the same business.
No,
do it
we
all
don't
the
have to
time.
do that because the statute, this is a state statute
Yeah, but
that says
don't
you
have
will do it before.
I don't want to argue with you,
No,
but
okay.
that we don't have to do it is not a good business approach, because, in my opinion, I think you should have raised your hand
Yeah,
and just said, hey, guys, are we out of this or not?
that's why I
That's-
come back to
Yeah,
So I guess what we're asking you to do tonight is to make a decision.
Yep.
You either affirm the building inspector, which you know is wrong,
Yep.
or you say the building inspector was wrong.
No,
It's
we.
that simple.
Well, I don't
And-
think it's that simple. I don't
And
think,
we have alternatives.
I think,
We have alternatives, we have alternatives once you make that decision. And one of them is what I explained was going to happen last time,
Yeah.
which we go to court. We really don't want to go to court. We're going to win in court. don't want to go to court because Mr. Stebbins is a taxpayer here too, and it's just going to increase his tax.
Why wouldn't you though take the normal, natural route of go to,
Well,
don't go to.
wait a second,
the-
now,
the
now,
normal
now we're
natural
getting
route.
out, of, this is technically not supposed to be open to debate, this is all amongst us. I
Oh.
extended a courtesy,
Sorry,
Yes.
and we're,
I'm sorry.
Well, thank you very
Debate-
much. So I'll
debate's
sit
over.
down now and let you make the decision.
so we've just gotta make a decision on our own over here. But I think I've stated my position, so I'm willing to entertain a motion one way or another.
I'm gonna make,
Are-
I'm gonna make a motion
I
to
have a
support.
question. I have one more question.
Yep.
Are we allowed to say, so is the only way to say, is the only way to get it to planning by affirming and sending it? Like, why can't we acknowledge the error and send it at the same time? Like, why is it only one way?
I just can't think of any way of doing it otherwise, because the fees have been assessed. If we say that the building inspector was wrong, then we gotta pay the impact fees back. Cause they
So
never
it's
should
an
have been assessed.
automatic.
The way I see it.
One of the things it might do is open an opportunity for settlement discussions.
Settlement discussions, he said.
Well, that's where I'm going. I still say there's enough, if you wanna play the blame game, there's enough to go around on
Then-
this.
Then, yeah.
Somebody's gotta settle it. I don't know who that is.
The thing is, we can say we could probably say the building inspector erred, and as a result, the timing of the impact fees was incorrect, and send it back to the planning board.
That's where I'm trying to
But
head
it's,
towards.
that's not as clean, that's not clean. I don't think it's as clean.
I just can't in good conscience affirm the decision as is. That's my problem.
I have that problem as well, because I think there was an error. In good faith. But, and I think you should have known about it.
Okay,
I know.
Go ahead, Bart.
So, yeah, I think just, the board needs just to decide if a motion needs to be crafted, if the building inspector error or not, and a vote taken. I don't think any.
Say that again.
I don't think any qualifiers should be added to the motions. Did the building inspector error in applying the ordinance or not?
I can, yeah, I'll make a motion that the building inspector erred. Oh, wait a minute. He did.
I don't think you have to say much more.
And where will it go?
Can you repeat the motion you just made?
Make a motion to confirm that the building inspector erred in his decision. No, building inspector erred in not ensuring that impact fees were addressed prior to.
Certificate of
The
occupancy.
building inspector
No.
erred in the timing of the impact fees,
Yes.
That's fine,
Yes.
yes.
because I don't wanna get double negative in there.
Right. So,
Can we
S-
just be clear, just repeat that one more time.
To, confirm that the building inspector erred in the timing of the impact fees. Impact fee assessment.
can you read that back?
To confirm the building inspector error in the timing of the assessment of impact fees.
Yes. So where would it go after that?
If it's,
If
so
it's-
there's a motion on the table, so
Right.
let's leave it there first.
And that's why,
Do we have a second?
Second.
Wait, you,
Wait.
no,
wait, who made
who
it?
made it?
We co-made it.
We
Yeah.
Pick one.
So,
But I will. Confusing.
so Al made the motion, Who seconded?
I'll second it.
Okay. So discussion on the motion?
So the question is, where does it go at? If passed, where would it go if it does not pass?
If it passes the motion, then the fees will be paid back. Impact fees will be returned to the applicant, and then if it doesn't pass, then the impact fees will be remain in town as paid, and then there's an appeal period, so the petitioner can go to appeal to Superior Court. And there's another pathway which is outside this track. The applicant can go to the plan board as well to still get them waived
And
at the local level.
They could settle there if they wanted.
It's a possibility, yes.
That's, well, that's my intention.
I settle that way. Send it back to them and let them.
And they can decide whether they want to go to the Superior Court or to the planning.
So the way it's written now, though, is
It's
yeah,
backwards.
backwards, yeah.
What's backwards?
My motion was backwards, because my motion didn't confirm that the error was made.
Let's withdraw that and craft it again.
Okay, so a motion would need to be
So I move
made.
to withdraw the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll pull my second.
So you make a motion to second his withdrawal?
Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. Vote on the motion?
To withdraw?
Yes.
Aye.
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 Okay. All right. How would the motion be crafted?
And that's what we said
What's
before,
so
to confirm.
to confirm the bill inspector did not
Yeah.
err?
Yep.
Okay. March 31st.
I don't know if we'd be able to get that one. Let's see what we've got.
Okay.
Good.
Well, all right. So I have a draft motion. It says to uphold the code enforcement's decision dated March 31st, 2022, to assess impact fees for property at 86 Main Street, Newmarket, New Hampshire.
That works. I think it's positive motion.
Do you have to ask them about the 4 of us?
Oh, yeah. By the way, we don't have a full board tonight. We've only got 4, and you're entitled to have 5. So that means 3 of us have to vote in favor of the motion to,
I think that's
well, that's,
This is,
well, that's with us, that's, yeah.
this, just all of a sudden I was looking at this. We've been talking about impact fees of $25,000. Is that right? If you look at this invoice, hookup fees were $12,000. Impact fees were $13,000. So we're not talking about $25,000 unless I'm reading this wrong.
I think regardless, it doesn't matter, it's impact fees. So,
Right, but just for the sake of clarity, the impact fees were 13.
I believe the water and sewer department, they're based on number of dwelling units and stuff.
Right,
It-
$1,000 per hookup.
It's in essence a,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I
I don't
agree.
think so at all. It's $1,000 per unit hookup fee, period. Whether you're because you
Right.
obviously are impacting. So I don't know if it matters, but
I think what the board may want to do is just, did the bill inspector error? You know, just at that,
Okay.
and not necessarily differentiate between amount.
Sue flinches first.
Right. I mean, just keep it simple instead of trying to get in the weeds of it.
except we're not gonna return, even if it's affirmed, we're not gonna return $25,000. We're gonna return 13,000. So I don't think it's a weeds issue. I think it's a different issue altogether.
That's so if we reject the building inspectors, and I understand what you're saying, is that somebody's gonna take that and go to the town office and say, write me a check.
Right. And sewer and water is gonna say, not from me. I hooked you up.
For impact fees.
Yeah. I mean, the bill can't be any clearer, unless I'm missing something.
The way that the applicant's asking for water sewer hookup fees too. If you look at
Well,
the
you
end.
can't. Huh?
At the end, I know, just in the letter.
Okay. but
Yeah. They're requesting.
I don't know why we would not charge them for what we charge everything else for, so, anyway.
Which is, so, right now, that's saying that we're affirming the
Code
building
of-
inspector's decision.
Correct.
Okay. And we let the chips fall where they may.
Okay, so I'd like to have one of you say it.
Okay.
I don't know if you're going to read it. Hold on, I'll rewrite it.
I think it's just as the motion is made to affirm the building inspector's decision to apply impact fees.
Yeah, and I would date his letter too, which is March 31st, 2022. I believe this is his letter.
Hold or affirm? You said hold.
Right, so I think he's going to write a new one.
Okay.
Yeah.
See.
Let's confirm that date.
Sounds right.
And that's the, in a letter dated,
March 31st, 2022.
a motion is made to affirm the CEO's decision to impose impact fees in a letter dated 3/21/22.
There's the motion.
Could I
Yeah, it's not,
be picky
yeah.
in the amount of $13,728?
Okay.
You know, that's what,
gonna be interesting. We can do that. I don't think it'll,
I would like to do it just to make sure it doesn't get unnoticed. I mean, that would be unfair to other people who have to pay hookup fees without,
yeah, but, what Mr. Stebbins is saying is that those impact fees should have been addressed at the building permit stage. And that where they were so late, that they should not have been assessed at all. And that's what he says in the last paragraph of his letter. For the foregoing reasons, the ZBA should overrule the building inspector's improper and illegal action in withholding the issuance of certificate of occupancy to the applicant for the project until previously unassessed impact fees, including water and sewer hookup fees, in the amount of $25,728 were paid in order to refund as much to the applicant with statutory interest.
and I understand it, but it's very clear in the invoice they're two separate buildings. So it's up to you,
So there's a motion on the table.
I'm not sure what the planning board looks at when they do it.
I'm not either, but it should.
I know that Sean is gonna say that I'm due them, so
He's gonna say what?
he's gonna
Yeah,
say
it's gonna-
I'm due them.
Right. It's not fair to the community to get them paid. I don't wanna beat a dead horse, it just doesn't sound fair to me.
Well, in for a penny, in for a pound. I mean, right now we've said the impact fees are okay, and somebody's gonna have to argue them someplace. And I think that the planning board is a better place to argue
Well, I
it,
agree.
so.
I just think, never mind.
Could you repeat the motion?
A motion is made to affirm the CEO's decision to impose impact fees in a letter 3/21/22.
31.
March 31st,
Yeah.
2022.
Was it 3/31 or 21?
31.
31. My bad. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, roll call vote. Al?
You know, yeah, this
Oh,
discussion.
discussion? Sorry
Yeah.
about that. I think we've had it. I'll have a roll call vote. Al? James?
Nay.
Nay?
Nay.
Nay.
What's your vote?
I'm gonna vote yay, so we get tied.
So you gotta redo the vote.
What,
Who's
okay,
gonna change?
yeah, what, I mean, okay, let's open it up to, what's, James, what's the sticking point?
I can't affirm his decision.
Okay,
That's.
Wayne, you the
Same.
same thing?
I can't. I agree 100% that Wayne said that there was errors on both sides. I'm not going into reasons or discussion. I'm just saying, period. There were errors on both sides. I agree with that 100%. With that, I can't affirm the CEO's
Yeah.
decision.
And we somehow in a motion state that in some respect both parties at fault? Would that help?
I don't know if that adds anything to the discussion or not.
I don't either.
I think that can be reflected in the minutes, not necessarily the vote. Because again, as Bob said, it doesn't do anything to the motion.
I'm just not sure, I mean, Al, what you bring up about the water and sewer fees, those are unit assessments. we've had the discussion before. I know Canada versus the town of Newmarket a while back. Was just on that discussion also, so. Because I was party to that one, but anyway.
I would make an amend.
It's a new motion.
It's gonna be a new motion. We can keep the verbiage on that.
Well, you know what I'm gonna say.
What's that?
Discuss it first before motion it, making a motion.
What do you wanna add or remove, or you just
What I
wanna?
wanna add is, well, let me just say it and then we can talk about it. What I'd like to say is that, and I agree with you, I mean, he did make a mistake, and you can't reaffirm it. But I would support going along with, saying that, confirming that he made not supporting his decision
Okay,
of applying impact fees in the amount of $13,000.
okay,
That seems fair to both sides. It's splitting the, well, it's not always, that would be the content of my.
I just don't know how, yeah, that's fine, I don't know how to separate them out, because I think that the, water and sewer fees are generally considered a type of impact fee, but I'm not sure.
They're considered what?
I'm just wondering if they're considered an impact fee too, or,
I don't think so.
They
I
are
think they're
not.
a fee.
Well, in my experience, they are not.
okay, then, yeah, let's try that route. I got no problem, let's get off the dime.
Yep.
I have a quick question.
Go
Do we
ahead.
happen to know if, what was it, 72, the number 72 Main Street, the other property that was presented as evidence?
Yeah,
Was that, do we happen to know if that was assessed hookup fees
I
and
don't.
not impact fees?
I don't have that information right now,
Okay.
but,
Because that might make the decision a little bit easier.
I don't know.
But if we don't know, then we don't know.
I mean, that's why the planning board was a better place to,
Yeah.
but anyway, okay, what was impact fees? In, where am I? Oh, there it is, right there.
what are you looking for? The letter?
Yeah, no,
Oh, yes.
the last paragraph. Because he's also asking for statutory interest. So it's,
Yeah.
so, just try this out for size. A motion is made to affirm the CEO's decision, no, excuse me. I got it in the wrong one. A motion is made to reject the building inspector's decision to assess impact fees in the amount of $13,728 plus applicable interest at the time, that's it.
Yep.
I think we ought to have a date in there. At the time of, what's it say?
At
The time of the,
the email dated on 3/31/22, something like
yeah,
that.
just so we're,
Let's try this out for size. Motion is made to reject the building inspector's decision to assess impact fees in the amount of $13,728 plus interest per the letter of 3/31/22.
Can I see that?
What was the letter again?
That was where the building inspector assessed the impact fees. This one's out of there.
Yeah. So now we're rejecting
Correct. On the impact fees. We're completely neutral. We haven't said anything on the sewer and water assessments. So we're not getting into a jurisdictional.
So it's on the line item that specifically says impact fees.
Yes.
Correct.
What's the date of that, Tim?
This is March 31st, 2022.
And that's the invoice.
Yeah. And it breaks down.
Per the,
schools,
per
recreation,
the invoice.
For the invoice dated March 31st, 2022.
Okay. So just to recap, a motion is made to reject the building inspector's decision to assess impact fees in the amount of $13,728 plus applicable interest per the invoice dated 3/31/22.
Yes, and there's no invoice number or anything. $1,000.
Why is it 6 new apartments at $1,000 a unit and it's $12,000?
Water and sewer, there's one for each.
Thank you. Okay.
Trust me, I was actively involved in
Okay.
the
No, that's
crafting
fine.
of that.
I saw 6 and 12. I'm like, that doesn't work. So, okay, understood.
And it ties back to the definition of dwelling unit in the zoning ordinance. That's the rationale for. All right, we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, let's do a roll call vote on this one. Al, James, come back to you if you want.
Yeah, come back to me.
Wayne?
Oh, you want to be the decider.
No, I don't want to be the decider. I'm going to vote after this. He's holding off.
Oh,
Just giving you an opportunity.
yes.
I'll vote yes.
I can go along with this one. Yay.
Okay.
4-0.
All right.
Yes, 4-0.
It's probably not a perfect decision, but it's a decision.
So now, for clarification, this now goes to the planning board.
No.
No.
Oh, because we reject.
We're
okay,
done.
got it. Okay, got it.
That's it. Next item on the agenda.
Thank you.
Sorry, I know it's not a perfect decision, but next item is the continuation pursuant to RSA 674:33 and RSA 676:7, continuation of a public hearing for a variance requested by Bradley Kurth, petitioning the zoning board of adjustment for relief from section 32-87, item 2, setbacks to the municipal town code of the town of Newmarket to build a decked staircase 4.5 feet from the property line where 10 feet is allowed on real property with an address of 9 Creighton Street, tax map U2, lot 3, within the R4 zoning district. Just for the record, we've only got 4 members here, so you see what happens when we've got enough. So you're welcome to, if you want to hold off till we get the 5th member, that's fine. It's your choice. We've got a quorum here. We're good to go.
So let's go for it.
Thank you.
So, new to this, I step up and present? or-
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
All of the butters have been notified and
Yep.
everything else.
Yep, this is a continuation, so, at the last meeting,
Right.
the board set a place and time, so.
Yep.
Yep.
The floor is yours.
Okay, yeah, looking to install a set of staircase, exterior on the decks that I have. As you can see, it's within 10-foot setback. My house has very limited setbacks. I did take some photos and I can pass that around if that's appropriate.
That's fine, if you've
Would you
got
like to
them. Information is always welcome.
see? Yep, that might be helpful. So the first one here is, don't worry about that. First one is the opposite side of my house, where I have no space for any other sorts of egress. And then the other two is the location that I'm proposing for my staircase. So my house, if you know the neighborhood in that area, it's very tight. I have, I would say, 3 feet to the road on the front side of my house. On the technical front area of my house is 3 feet from the road. The first photo there is we have 7 feet between my house and the neighboring house. And then on the back 2 sides, relatively standard setbacks with roads and whatnot. Anyways, so that's where I chose the location to put this staircase. It seems appropriate. The little section of land is really couldn't be used for much else. You can see in one of those photos, my neighbor has a tree and some HVAC equipment. So the piece of land is really not in use for any other practical application. And in my variance, I stated that I don't think it'll be a visual impairment to the neighborhood. I've been doing a lot of work on my house, so hopefully improve the neighborhood a little bit. I think it's a better, safer means of egress. My house only has an interior small staircase built in 1846, so it's not up to modern day code, so it's kind of limited in its own right. So this will provide another exterior.
Don't get hurt on the second floor. I don't want to have to take you down those stairs in a stretcher.
I know. So you know, one thing I've been working on my house for quite a few years now, and I'm from Dover, but I moved here recently with my family. Really kind of see it. The more I build it, the more I, enjoy Newmarket, enjoy my home with my family. See it being a place that would be for a long time. So I try to make the first floor accessible for a long time for kind of single story application. But this will just provide some easier use in the near future. But anyway, yeah, I don't know if it's appropriate for me to go through the variance that I wrote, or
Well, we don't have a copy of it, so why don't you just give us a we did get one?
Yeah.
It's in the packet?
I did print out a copy.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right, you did. I'm fine if you don't go over it point by point. Yeah, unless the board wants to do that. One of the things I should do is I'll open it up for public comment. If there's anybody out in TV land or out there that wants to speak for or against this, now's your time. We'll hold it open for a little bit. And you got any questions for Brad? I think it's a good use. The only thing you could put on the other side is a fire pole.
Yeah, I decision on design. I was envisioning a spiral staircase, as you can see on the plans, just because it's a better use of space. Seems appropriate for that.
I think aesthetically it'd be nice in that area too. Is it gonna be metal, correct?
Yeah. Exterior galvanized, all that good stuff. Yep, to code. They sell lots of kits to code. With lumber prices, it's actually comparable.
You said it is to code?
Yeah, the kits will be. Yep, they sell them to code.
Well,
with all the risers.
building
and-
inspector still has to go through this and make sure that it conforms, so.
Oh, yeah,
You're not gonna make it out of rock.
I would. After messing with that rock wall, I'm kind of done with rock. I'm a carpenter by trade. So.
All right. Well, I don't see any public comments, so I'll close the public comment section and open it up for discussion amongst ourselves here. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
If nobody has any more stuff, I'll accept a motion.
I make a motion to accept the application.
Second.
And, okay, why don't we say that and use the submittal as the
Oh.
finding of fact?
Yeah.
Use the backup information as finding of fact.
Where is this? You had it all. That's why I never give motions.
That's fine, you're perfectly appropriate. All I'm gonna do is add that to it.
Where is this?
What?
I have to find it. Where is this?
Not sure what you're looking for.
Here it is.
There you go.
Just
You wanna
read
move on
this.
past the second one, and
Recommended motions, is that?
Yeah,
where
here we
are?
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, that's where I saw it. Move to grant the variance request from Bradley Kurth petitioning the zoning board of adjustment for relief from section 32-87-2 setbacks of the municipal code of town of Newmarket to build a deck staircase 4.5 feet from the property line where 10 foot is allowed on real property with an address of 9 Creighton Street, tax map U2 Lot 3, within the R4 zoning district, as the petition satisfies the 5-part test of the variance statute pursuant to RSA 674:3.
That's fine.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Wayne?
Yes.
Al?
any discussion?
Oh.
No, any discussion? No. Al?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous.
Wayne, your reading of that was perfect.
That was a chore.
Well, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for your service, ma'am. Appreciate it.
All right. And the final, well, not the final order of business, but the next order of business, pursuant to RSA 674:13 and RSA 676:7, there will be a public hearing for a variance request and special exception application from Paul Marino.
Marino, yeah.
Marino, very good. Like Dan.
That's right.
Okay. Petitioning the zoning board of adjustment for relief from section 32-89 dimensional table and 32-155 D4 wetlands protection overlay district, and approval under 32-5 section 2 non-conforming structures of the municipal code of the town of Newmarket to permit the horizontal expansion of a non-conforming structure to be constructed by constructing a 12 by 16 carport attached to a single-family dwelling unit, unit that encroaches into the side setback within 2.8 feet from the property line where 15 is required, and within 20.8 feet of a wetlands consisting of poorly drained soils where 25 feet is required on real property located at 28 Dame Road, tax map U2 lot 298 within the R2 zoning district. All right. Floor is yours.
Thanks. This is also first for me, so just please bear with me. So, yeah, I think the main thing about this lot, you know, the main point I'll come back to is just that it's a 0.05 acre lot. So it was built, it was described before these setbacks existed, and so for me to add anything to the house would require a variance. So you know, as you can see from the survey, it's not about where it goes as much as just adding a place to you know, keep a vehicle out of the elements. And I think you know, it would be a hardship to deny me that. it's an improvement to the neighborhood. In fact, I think it's, you know, it's in the public interest because, as you can see, I'm right by the road, so, you know, it just gets, sort of declutters the road side of the house and gets a car a little bit out of sight. You know, for what it's worth, I've also, I've just put a lot of sweat and all my money into the house to improve it. It had a cesspool septic system. I just tied it into town sewer. There's an asphalt driveway as well that I've taken up, and you know, to sort of compensate the impermeable loss of impermeable surface. You know, with the roof, I'll put down a permeable substrate like bluestone or something where that driveway was. What's going on here? Yeah, I think, you know, create off-street parking, be aesthetically pleasing, shelter my vehicle. I think it'll make plowing easier. You know, I won't have to plow right up against the side of my house. And I think, you know, in terms of the spirit of the ordinance, you know, I think, as I understand it, the setbacks are, you know, prevent congestion for things like fire safety and privacy of neighbors. And this is on the side of the house that this is on. Is a public easement. It's in easement for public use from the homeowners association next door, and so it's not developable. So it doesn't really impose on anybody directly. And in fact,
is the homeowners association weighed in on this?
They told me that they were going to send you guys a letter. Is that
We
right?
didn't receive one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they emailed me and said that they, you know, agreed that it would be a great addition to the house, and that they were going to send a letter. And I actually have letters as well from my other two neighbors.
Do we have copies of those?
We do not.
Can we get copies of those letters for the
sure.
file?
Yeah. Can I just give these to you? You want? Yeah.
Yep.
And I will, you know, follow up with the
Thank you.
homeowners association there. One of those neighbors is the one, the folks across the street, and you know, everybody in the neighborhood has been excited about the work that I've been doing. The house was really in bad shape, and
So,
We'll
Yeah.
read into the
just for the records, we have letters from Sean and Miriam Morse at 19 Dame Road, supporting the project, and Mary Bridget Conley at 24 Dame Road to extend support.
Mr. Chair, you want me to read into the record? So it's,
Oh, you want to read them into
Yeah.
the record? Okay.
so it's there. If you don't mind, if board.
No.
Just so everyone knows. So this is from Sean and Miriam Morse, dated June 5, 2022, to the Newmarket Zoning Board. We are Sean and Miriam Morse of 19 Dame, and we are the neighbors of Paul Marino of 28 Dame Road, Newmarket, New Hampshire. We are writing in support of his application to build a carport garage addition to his home. Mr. Marino has owned the property across from ours for about a year and has been noting nothing but helpful, kind, and friendly to all his neighbors. Property he purchased was in disarray before he begun improving the overall structure and integrity of the home and therefore the neighborhood. Mr. Marino is knowledgeable and experienced in carpentry and construction and has been working diligently to create a beautiful space to live. Mr. Marino is committed to improving the property at 28 Dame Road, and we fully support any decision that will help him along the way. He is hardworking and dedicated to enhancing his property. We are fully behind him and his requests. All the best, Sean and Miriam Morse, 19 Dame Road, Newmarket, New Hampshire. This is from Mary, was it Bridge Connolly, 24 Dame Road. Good evening. I am writing to extend my support to Paul Marino's request for a special exception to build an attached carport to his home. Should you have any questions or require additional information, please do not hesitate to reach out. Sincerely, Mary Bridge Connolly, 24 Dame Road.
And if the homeowners association wants to extend a letter, we can get it into the file at a
Okay.
later date. So,
thanks.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Moran? So we're ready for a motion.
Yep.
In that case, we're ready for a motion.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So there's going to be two motions. One's for
Correct.
the variance and then the special exception. They both should be held separately.
Correct.
Variance needs to come first.
So I will move to grant a variance request from Paul Marino petitioning the zoning board of adjustment for relief from section 32-89 dimensional table and 32-155D4 of the municipal code of the town of Newmarket, New Hampshire for the expansion of a non-conforming structure by constructing a 12 by 16 foot carport attached to a single family dwelling unit that encroaches into the side setback within 2.8 feet from the property line where 15 feet is required and within 20.8 feet of a wetland consisting of poorly drained soils where 25 feet is required on real property located at 28 Dame Road. Tax map U2 lot 298 within R2 zoning district as the petition satisfies the 5-part test of the variance of statute pursuant to RSA 674:33.
Second the motion.
Can I add something to that?
You can add
Can
whatever
we?
Oh, and also use the evidence as a finding of fact. Good call.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so if there's no more discussion, we'll go right to a roll call vote. Al?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
And aye. It's unanimous on that. Now we go for the special exception.
Uh-oh.
Part 2. Part 2.
Alright, I will move to approve a special exception of application from Paul Marino to permit the expansion of a non-conforming structure by constructing a 12 by 16 foot carport attached to a single dwelling unit that encroaches into the side setback within 2.8 feet from the property line where 15 feet is required and within 20.8 feet of a wetland consisting of poorly drained soils where 25 feet is required on real property located at 28 Dame Road, tax map U2 lot 298 within R2 zoning district as the application together with the granted variance relief that accompanied this application satisfies the enumerated standards pursuant to section 32-5 subsection 2A of the municipal code of the town of Newmarket, New Hampshire, also using the evidence provided by the applicant as a finding of fact. I would love to. Want me to do
No.
the okay.
I'd second. Second.
Al seconds it. All right, any discussion? See none, we'll have a roll call vote. Al?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. You
There
have,
you go.
you have your,
Thank you very much.
you have your garage.
Thank you for coming.
Who seconded that?
Okay, what's next on the agenda?
That's it. Or new business.
Any new business?
The only motion.
Yeah, we should have some new business because you were telling me that Stebbins has to come in for,
Yes, variance request for Railroad Ave again. It's two variances that necessary
wake us up, why don't you?
requested. The building's proposed as one, and we're for 8 units. The zoning has it. The building, if it's just residential only, can only be 4 units per building. So, so right now he has it 1 building for 8. So a variance would need to be granted from that standard. And then also, unlike other zones, this particular one has for this use, residential, has a zoning provision where parking is required. So that requires a variance as well. Typically, that's under site plan review, so that relief needs to be granted as well.
He hasn't made the application yet, but we were just looking at what, letting you know, so we could kind of maybe get something out on the horizon for a date.
I think he has submitted, so double check. But I think earlier the better, because we're going to run into summer more.
Yeah.
So ideally, 2 weeks or so, just so we're good for noticing and butters and whatnot.
So, in 2 weeks, have we the 20th or the 22nd, 27th? 20th or the 27th?
Yeah.
Anyone prefer?
And if we really want to have a party, we'll do it on the 4th.
Is 4th a Monday?
Yes.
Nice.
So,
One of those may be problematic for me, but I don't know which one.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely follow up. So since it's,
that's what we're looking at. I don't have anything on either date, so.
Are you talking June?
yes,
Yeah, no problem.
no problem. Okay. Do you know which one right now?
I don't,
Okay.
we're waiting for good weather to go out on the boat, so.
Okay. Yeah.
So we do a
Pick
rain-
either one.
We do a rain dance.
Or we can have the meeting on the boat.
There we go. Well, why don't we,
Let's pick one. Yeah.
okay,
Just pick one.
20.
that's fine. Done, 20th.
Third week of June. Okay.
Get them out of the way.
That's
Alright.
2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna say just publicly, once again, I brought the summaries that you put together and the specific steps that we need to follow were just superb. It really, and the reading of the motion being as completed as it is brings some good discipline to it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll try to cull it a little bit, the motion, see if we can get a little more precise.
I
You know,
don't think-
yeah. Yeah.
Less precise.
Yeah, less precise. Enough. It's just to be enough. No, thank you.
You're
I just want to make sure that everything's proper and, you know, we don't get in trouble, so.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll get them out earlier. I know it's kind of late, so my apologies there, but, for the next meeting, I'll have it out a week, as we discussed earlier, a week before.
And by the way, that is Juneteenth, by the way.
We have that off. It can't be that date. Town has it off.
It does?
Yep.
What is it?
It's a federal holiday.
What is it?
Juneteenth,
What's
Juneteenth.
that?
the Tulsa Massacre.
Yeah, it was recently. It was passed. It was a federal holiday.
Okay, so that means we go to the
27th?
27th. Oops.
Yeah. 27th it is.
I get another holiday.
Yeah. Everyone, yeah. Everyone good with that? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. There we go.
Are we off?
Not yet. You can press your button now.
I think my dad.
Edit, that's what I want to do. There.
Yeah, that works.
Sometimes you gotta be smarter than these things, but not often.
Do you want the, are we on?
Oh, not yet.
Forgot his pictures, but I can't see this on
Sure. Hey, we're all set. All right, thank you.